What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Clear Talk. In this video, we're going to be talking about Iran has just announced that the Strait of Iran is fully open and ready for full passage. The Strait of Iran? Strait of what? Trump saying the quiet part out loud. Yes, the Strait of Iran is open now. And this is in coordinates with the ceasefire between Lebanon, the quote-unquote ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel. So we're going to be talking about all that has transpired since yesterday evening, yesterday afternoon, and what does it all mean? What is it? Where does it place everybody? Who has gotten over on who? So thank you very much for joining me here, and welcome to Clear Talk. If you are new to the channel, yeah, welcome. If you'd like to check out more videos from the channel, please do so. Consider subscribing, like, share, comment, all that good stuff to get more videos in front of more people. Free for you, helps out the channel tremendously. If you'd like to check out more videos from my other channels, there's JMD there, play, puzzling. If you'd like to, if you like what you see over there, consider subscribing, like, share, all that good stuff over there as well. Free for you, helps out those channels tremendously. If you want to go further, Patreon there, $2 a month. $2 a month, you support any of those channels over there that you would like. To help support those channels and grow those channels and grow Patreon and the JMD Nation and contribute to that growth how you would like to. Any contribution or support you give is very much appreciated, and I thank you very much. And if you return, you're freaking amazing. You are amazing. Much cooler than these morons that we're about to talk about. But you're amazing, and welcome back to Clear Talk. Okay, so what has happened? What do we know? What do we know? All right, so let's back up. We know that we had the ceasefire between from the U.S. and Iran, right? 20-day ceasefire, right? We're like halfway through that. The part of that initial ceasefire was supposed to be, again, everybody was supposed to cease, right? But at the last second, Netanyahu weaseled his way into Trump's little ear and was like, hey, we want to keep bombing Lebanon, so you gotta let us do that. And Trump's like, sure, Netanyahu, sure, baby, you can do that, no problem. So that's what happened. And we didn't tell Iran that, because Iran would not have agreed to that. And they didn't, because everybody was supposed to cease. And because of this, because we allowed for Israel to continue bombing, striking Lebanon and Hezbollah, Iran, who originally the idea was that everybody ceased, they were going to open up the Strait for people to go through. They said, you know what? Since you are already breaking the ceasefire, fuck y'all. We're not opening up the Strait. And so they closed it all back down. Said, until you agree, we're closing it back down. Well, then the Trump administration, of course, comes out, acting like, oh, Lebanon was never a part of the agreement. Lebanon was never a part of the agreement, which we had to go, look over here. This is what was said. It was a part of the agreement. You're fucking lying, you bunch of idiots. It's I don't even know. I don't even know why they think they can just continuously get away with lies. So then Trump begins to try to broker an agreement between Lebanon and Israel. Like, okay, we got to get this stopped because, Iran's, they didn't open up the Strait. And on top of that, then we announce our blockade. So we got a blockade on a blockade. So nobody's fucking moving anywhere. Well, except for there was apparently a Chinese boat that got past us. And then it was reported that like 3 Iranian ships, tankers with like over 5 billion barrels of Iranian oil also got past us. So I guess it wasn't a complete blockade like we keep saying. Anyways, but to keep that on the down low. So, because of all this and the pressure from the regular, everybody, quite literally, because prices were going back up, threatening on the market, the economy, everything, the outlooks, it's not looking good. The administration's like, we've got to do something here. So they do these talks between Israel and Lebanon. And that happened yesterday. And immediately after this conversation of a potential ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel, and before either Lebanon or Israel technically even agreed to it, Trump, in just his full-on excitement that he had solved another war, apparently, decides to burst out on Truth Social and, of course, toss this one out. I just had an excellent conversation with the highly respected President Joseph Aoun of Lebanon and Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu of Israel. These two leaders have agreed that the order to achieve peace between their countries, there will formally begin a 10-day ceasefire at 5 p.m. Eastern. On Tuesday, the two countries met for the first time in 34 years here in Washington, D.C. with our great Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. I have directed Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Rubio, together with the Chairman of the Chief Staff, Raising Cane, to work with Israel and Lebanon to achieve lasting peace. It has been an honor to solve 9 wars across the... And then he turned around. I think this may be my 10th. This will be my 10th. Oh my gosh. I solved another war. A 10-day ceasefire is not solving a war, by the way. And, of course, we already know that he hasn't solved any of the others either. But whatever. He's so adamant. He's so desperate for people to think that he's just a peacemaker and he's solving all this shit, that he burst out here and does this before even Israel and Lebanon had even agreed, technically. Because in the middle of him releasing this, Netanyahu had just entered into a meeting with his Security Council for them to talk about the agreements and vote on the ceasefire, whether they agreed or not. So they technically even hadn't agreed. But immediately Lebanon's PM comes out and saying, yeah, we're good. We're good to go. If y'all are good, we're good. Which then turned around and pressed Netanyahu to release this. I tell you what, because maybe somebody, who knows, let me actually say this out for you. We have an opportunity to forge a historical peace agreement with Lebanon. President Trump intends to invite me and the president of Lebanon in order to try to achieve this agreement. This opportunity exists because since the War of Redemption, we have fundamentally changed the balance of power in Lebanon. We activated the pagers. He loves going back and talking about all these achievements that they so-called did. We eliminated the massive arsenal of 150,000 rockets and missiles that Nasrallah prepared to destroy Israel's cities, or, more accurately, defend Lebanon and Hezbollah from Israel attacks. We eliminated Nasrallah, whatever. This balance has shifted to such an extent that over the past month, we began receiving calls from Lebanon to hold direct peace talks between us. I don't believe that for nothing. This is something that hasn't happened in over 40 years. I answered that call, and I agreed to a timeout. We put ourselves in the corner. Or more accurately, a temporary 10-day ceasefire to try and advance the agreement we began discussing during the meeting of the ambassadors in Washington. We have 2 fundamental demands for these peace talks. First, the disarmament of Hezbollah. Second, a sustainable peace agreement. And this is the one I found interesting. Peace through strength. And I think we all know what that means. Means they're just going to keep bombing. Means you ceasefire. To achieve this ceasefire, Hezbollah insisted on two conditions. First, that Israel must withdraw from all Lebanese territories back to the international border. Second, a ceasefire based on the quiet for quiet model. I agree to neither of these, and indeed, these two conditions are not being met. That's your peace through strength. Not agreeing to ceasefires. Not agreeing to peace. We are remaining in Lebanon and reinforcing security buffer zone that is not the 5 points that exist between Roar and Lion. This is a security buffer that starts at the sea and continues to Mount Dove and up the foothills of Mount Hermon, up to the Syrian border, which is pretty much at the Syrian border anyways. This is a security strip 10 kilometers deep, or like, what's that, like, around 5-6 miles deep in, something like that. Am I right? I feel like I'm wrong there. I'm probably wrong there. I was definitely wrong there. Which is much stronger, more intense, more continuous, and more solid than what we have previously. And we are not leaving to block. Wait a minute, did I miss something? This allows us first and foremost to block the dangers of invasion into our communities, and secondly, allows us to prevent direct anti-tank fire into the communities. The residents are now protected from these two dangers. Of course, there's still problems. We still have rockets. They still have rockets left, and we will deal with that as well as part of the progress towards a secure agreement and a continuous peace treaty. But there is something else. I have spoken with President Trump over these last 2 days, and he told me he is tremendously determined to continue the naval blockade and to bring about the dismantling of Iran's nuclear capability, which remains of it. What remains of it? Sorry. He is certain he can eliminate this threat once and for all, continuing the great things we have done together. Of course, we will also handle the missile threat and the enrichment capability. I will not elaborate. There are two very important moves that can fundamentally change our security and diplomatic situation for years to come. With God's help, we will act, and with God's help, we will succeed. All right, so that is his message yesterday after that ceasefire release from Trump. All right. So, because now, all right, now we get to the more up-to-date what happened today. Because now the original terms of the ceasefire have, quote unquote, been met, because now Lebanon is not being attacked, although there's some caveat to that we'll go over in a minute. But because theoretically there's a ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel, Iran comes out to state this. And this is from the foreign minister. In line with the ceasefire in Lebanon, which you may not be able to see. Give me a second. In line with this ceasefire in Lebanon, the passage of all commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz is declared completely open for the remaining period of the ceasefire, which, to remind you, goes through like the 21st or 22nd, I think. Maybe it's 22nd, I think is the last day. So we've got 5 days left. The passage of all commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz is completely open for the remaining period of the ceasefire on the coordinated, this is important, on the coordinated route as already announced by ports and maritime organizations of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Okay, and this means that this is a continuation and opening up of the ships flowing through and around the Iranian coastline like they were already doing and have been doing to safely guide ships around the mines and stuff that they put in the water, okay, because they know where they are. And so in order to safely do that, they're guiding, which is what they stated from the beginning when this ceasefire was released. Which then gets Trump to do the infamous that we've already stated. Iran has just announced that the Strait of Iran is fully open and ready for full passage. And this is still up. This is still up. It has not been changed. I just refreshed. Oh my gosh, bro. I shit you not. So you have Iran basically pressuring the United States and Israel into the original agreement as it originally stood. Where they still control the strait. They're going to allow people through openly like they originally agreed to, but we allowed Israel to ruin. Our administration constantly acts like Iran is just so crazy. They change and move the goalpost all the time. Iran has stayed consistent through all of this. Every single facet, they have stayed consistent. They said from the beginning what they were going to do if we started a war with them. And once we did, they said they did exactly what we said they were going to do, what they said they were going to do. They have been consistent all throughout. And even in ceasefire, they stayed consistent. They said they were going to do something. But as soon as we voided that with deception, they held strong and backed back. And now that we are now complying, they go to the agreement and open it up. Iran is playing us like a fiddle. Iran is playing Trump and this administration, and even at this point, Netanyahu, like a fiddle. It is crazy how incompetent this administration really is. How incompetent this administration is making our military look. Our great and mighty military. It is So, you also have the Speaker of Islamic Republic of Iran comes out and he states, the completion and consolidation of a comprehensive ceasefire in Lebanon will be the result of the resistance and steadfast struggle of the great Hezbollah and the unit of the axis of resistance. The United States must comply with the agreement. Resistance and Iran are one soul, both in war and in ceasefire. America should withdraw from Israel first mistake. It's like, it's exactly what it was. We were on par with this ceasefire until we allowed for Israel to dictate and create the first mistake. which was them asking to continue on in Lebanon. And we agreed to it. Instead of being like, no, damn it, it's supposed to be a ceasefire, stop it. Trump rolled over like a little bitch the first time. Then he comes about after that and says, as I said last night as well, because that was last night, this morning, the ceasefire is nothing but a result of Hezbollah's steadfast in the unity of the axis of evil, and we will deal with this ceasefire with caution, and we will remain together until the full realization of victory. I thank the mediating efforts of Pakistan and Munir for endorsing this ceasefire. We are true to our pledge. This is the latest from Netanyahu, which he released in Hebrew with no English dubs. I had to go and find another website who would actually turn around and reposted it with English caption for us to understand what the hell he was saying. But here is his statement. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. You're not hearing that. I've got to figure out why this keeps doing this. All right.
Did in the north, and my answer is that we brought great achievements. We had 2 bright days, a near day and a far day. The near day was the deployment of thousands of terrorists to our territory, and a fire was launched at our communities. And the far...
I'm not exactly sure if this translation is 100% accurate, because it seems there's a couple of parts that I'm like, I'm not sure if that's what he said, but we'll kind of just take it as it is.
Which Nasrallah built for years, was a fire of 100...
Just understand that there could be a couple of words here and there off.
50,000 missiles and rockets which were intended to destroy the people of Israel. We avoided these 2 days. Now, look at what we did. First, we created a long line of defense along the entire northern border, not just in Lebanon, not just here, in Rosh Hanikra, as you can see. This is the northern border, not just here, but along the entire Lebanese border to Hermon through the Golan Heights and to Yarmouk. They wanted to surround us with a fire line, and we created a defense line. This line completely blocked the near day of the incursion and the shooting, and the IDF is sitting there on the yellow line to continue to defend against the near day. As for the far day, we destroyed nearly 90% of the missiles and rockets built by Nasrallah. We destroyed Nasrallah himself. We buried them in the Bipers. We destroyed thousands of terrorists. Today's Hezbollah is a shadow of itself compared to the Arab days of Nasrallah. But I say directly that we have not yet finished the mission. There are things that we plan to do against the remaining missile threats and against the missile threats, and I will not explain. But we all...
He also did the same thing in the previous video, where he said, I will not go further. I will not give details, or whatever the hell he said. Here, again, the translation might not be exact, but it's something to do in the area of I won't explain, I'm not going to give the details, I'm not going to, whatever. But we have plans.
Also have another goal, and that is the separation of Hezbollah. Therefore, I tell you again directly that this will not be accomplished tomorrow. It requires continuous effort. It requires patience. It requires a long-term plan, and it requires a thorough planning on the political field. On behalf of my friend, President Trump, with whom we changed the face of the Middle East and achieved great achievements, we agreed to a temporary ceasefire in Lebanon. On his request, we will give an opportunity to advance a political and military solution, which will be combined with the Lebanese government. I remind you that for the first time in 43 years, representatives of the State of Israel speak directly with representatives of the state of Lebanon. The road to peace is still long, but we have begun it. One hand is holding the weapon and the other is reaching. One way or another, we will restore security to the residents of the North, and with God's help, we will succeed.
All right, so that comes out, all right, which is kind of wonky in my opinion. And he's always weird with his words. Interestingly enough, or well, on the actual X page where he released this, there were like numerous people stating, how like that he was basically bowing down to Lebanon and bowing down to Hezbollah and all this kind of shit. I mean, there are people in Israel that have been so hard-lined in propaganda that like this actually upsets them. They want to continue bombing, continue killing people. I mean, Israel really is far gone. Even in it's like citizenry. There's so many of them that are so far gone and are so hateful and so violent. It is really unreal. But yeah, so we have that come out. And since Trump's initial kind of Strait of Iran slip up, he has stated a few more here. The Strait of Hormuz is completely open and ready for business and full passage, but the naval blockade will remain in full force and effect as it pertains to Iran, only until such time as our transaction with Iran is 100% complete. This process should go very quickly in that most of the points are already negotiated. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump. So yes, we are maintaining our naval blockade, which was not, I guess, technically a part of the deal because it wasn't in place on the initial deal. It's something that we put in place afterward. So we're continuing to block, even though, as I just said a minute ago, we know it was reported that some Iranian tankers got through. So I'm not sure that even continuing the blockade is really going to make that effective. But then he goes on and states probably one of the most interesting truths he may have ever said, even more than the Strait of Iran. The USA will get all nuclear dust created by our great B-2 bombers. No money will exchange hands in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so he's saying that we're not giving them any money like Obama did. So no releasing of funds, no sanction relief, which is also like going against one of the 10 requests of Iran, and even against our own statements that we would give them, Anyways, this deal is in no subject to Lebanon either, but the U.S. will separately work with Lebanon and deal with Hezbollah. It doesn't even spell that right. Situation in an appropriate manner. And here we go. Israel will not be bombing Lebanon any longer. They are in big letters prohibited from doing so by the USA. Enough is enough. Trump just told Netanyahu, this may be the craziest. This might be the line in the sand. The breaking of such a friendship. I don't know what is going to come of this. And there's, from what I can tell, there's not been anything come out yet on this. But he states they are prohibited. So the United States is prohibiting Israel from bombing Lebanon any longer. Now that the Strait of Hormuz situation is over, I received a call from NATO asking if we need some help. I told them to stay away until they just want to load up with their ships with oil. They are useless when needed. Thanking Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar, Iran, with the help of the USA, has removed and is removing all sea mines. Thank you to Pakistan. He just goes on to some of the string of the shortest truths I've ever seen him do. A great and brilliant day for our world, rather. And then some criticism to CNN that he's just been hardcore on. But yes, that's what's going on here. But even though Trump states that he's prohibiting Israel from striking Iran, it's already being reported that this morning Israel Army, and this is from Courtney Benu, whatever. She's a war correspondent. The Israeli army has again violated the ceasefire in Lebanon and targeted a car and a motorcycle on the main road between Kanin and Beit Yahan, killing one person. And that was reported, pushed through by Dropsite News, which I recommend you keep up with if you want some of the latest news on things going on. They also even released further down here where there was an attack on Gaza this morning, or this morning, I think. With some people dying. Yeah, 2 Palestinian brothers were killed in a strike on a water desalination station. I'm telling you, Netanyahu cannot go a day without dropping a bomb or shooting a missile somewhere. Because as long as he is continuing to do so, that prevents him to have to face charges from his own government, from his own laws, from his own country's laws, and trial for criminal conduct on him. So he has to maintain and continue dropping and doing something somewhere. So there you go. You have a quote-unquote ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel now that has an agreement with the original ceasefire that has allowed now Iran to agree to open up the Strait like originally agreed after we wiggled our way and broke it. Is amazing to me, the pressure campaign, the amount of just sheer outplay of Iran on this administration that ultimately people calling out this administration's lies and their misconduct and actions on Netanyahu's behalf, completely screwing up and messing up agreements that could free up things to allow everybody to chill, the economy to chill, and all this, a possible end to the war, all this stuff. Like, We actually get to actually agreeing to it, and it opens up. And Iran keeps their word. Over and over and over and over again, it is shown that Iran is the one keeping their word, while the United States and Israel is the one that keeps fucking it up, keeps going against it, keeps lying, keeps trying to twist and turn and move the goalpost at the last second or whatever. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to the United States. And the reason why we have completely lost our respect and credibility on the national stage. This administration has ruined the United States geopolitically. And that I don't know that we'll ever come back from. But so that's what's going on. We at the moment still have the blockade, which very well could in itself cause problems. And also the continued threat, as always, for Israel to just not actually abide by a ceasefire, because they never do. And if they actually abide, which they already haven't, but if they actually at this point forward abide by it, that will be a fucking first. But if they continue, if they continue with attacks and targets all throughout the South, I mean, there's also already reports of where they have like war crimes that they have committed in southern Lebanon, like demolishing houses within the area. Now, houses they have previously bombed and struck and stuff like that. They are clearing out areas that they plan on just pretty much permanently residing in. They're wiping it out. Same kind of stuff they did in Gaza. Demoing houses over and over all throughout the areas. And as you heard Netanyahu say, they do not plan to leave. And that is a line in the sand for Lebanon and for Hezbollah, for that matter. Because they do not agree to the annexation or presence of Israel and IDF troops on their land, as no one would. So, it's unstable. It's very unstable. But technically, we only have 5 days left in this original agreement anyways. So, we'll have to see what happens in the next 5 days. And this being Friday and major things, major operations and stuff typically happening over the weekend, it's going to be interesting to see what happens over this weekend with the markets closed and the, less ability to really just mess stuff up until they can fix it by Monday morning. I don't know. We're going to see. But thank you very much for joining me. Again, the sheer incompetence of this administration, in their ability to like genuinely make a deal or genuinely hold to their word or hold to any kind of strong hold, whether fair or not, is just crazy. They're completely incompetent. Which more and more gives me the feeling, a slight feeling like even when they say the craziest ass shit and they should be held to scrutiny on that shit, that the actual likelihood of them being able to successfully carry that out is more and more less likely, which gives you some sort of positivity, I guess, in all of this. So thank you very much for joining me. And until next time, peace. Clear Talk. I'm out.